If you got eyeballs and you got a brain, then you know this video is about getting into speedrunning. It's a question that I get occasionally, and I thought that I would make a proper video on getting into speedrunning and just some general things that I think are good to keep in mind when you are thinking about it. I'll have some timestamps in the description. The first thing is, if you want to speedrun, well, you gotta have a game that you want to speedrun. The thing I see the most is people not sure what game to speedrun. Now, most of the time, it's not a huge investment. You can just get an emulator and try a game out, but I would probably recommend the game that you watch the most. That was Mario 64 for me, and that's why I started speedrunning it, because I enjoyed watching it the most. Any game that you watch a lot of, I would probably try that first. Or games that you enjoyed fondly from childhood. I wouldn't worry about picking a popular game just to do it, just because it's popular, because popular games, for one, are oversaturated, so you need to get really good to get noticed, or you have to have a crazy personality. But if you find a game that's like pretty low key and you start working on it on your own, you could potentially make your own following. There's multiple people who have done that. Some names that come to mind are Shift with SpongeBob, Mr. Llama with Diablo 2. So you can take a game that doesn't really have a lot going on with it and turn it into something incredible if you're quite passionate about it. Honestly, you'll know pretty quickly whether or not you want to keep running. You don't have to play that long to figure out whether or not you like it. You could probably find out within a week or two of running whether or not you'll enjoy it. You don't need to put in absurd hours. A lot of people get this idea that you need to put in like 5 hours a day, 8 hours a day, but you don't. You could get away with putting even like half an hour a day if you have a busy schedule. And then maybe at some point you can put in more time, but you really don't need to put in that much time unless you want to be at the very, very top or very, very good. Then you'll have to put in the time. So that's pretty much that. Once you've got a game and you are ready to start getting in there, this is the diving in phase. Emulators are fine if they work. I don't know about like Nintendo Switch games or whatever, but obviously like older games, N64, SNES, these kind of games, you can try them out on emulator first. I started Mario 64 on emulator with an Xbox controller for probably a year because I didn't have the money to buy stuff for N64, but it was good because I found out that I really liked the game, and then eventually I upgraded. If there is a Discord for speedrunning that game, I highly recommend joining it. The Discords are a great way to learn and find even more resources to help you improve quicker, and it's fun to play with a community. If there's no tutorial, I would recommend to not learn from the world record video unless the community says that you should, because for example, in Mario 64, if you try to learn 70 star from the world record video, you're going to have a very hard time because there's a lot of very hard strats. And there tends to be easier alternatives that don't lose a lot of time to a lot of strats. And you don't need to waste time grinding out strats that are too hard. Unless people tell you otherwise, I would recommend learning from videos that are maybe in the middle of the leaderboard or lower. Like, you don't want to learn bad movement or improper movement, but you also don't want to be doing things that you can't do, that you'll just lose more time to anyway. World record strats tend to be much more difficult, and it's a lot easier to get frustrated or quit trying to learn these strats, because obviously these players have put in thousands of hours, so it makes sense that they're able to do these very hard strats. Every moment you spend playing the game, the better you get at the game. So if you think about it, let's say that you don't do very fast strats for a while, but you get better at the game, you'll actually be able to learn harder strats more quickly than if you tried to learn them when you got into the game. So you're actually saving time and learning faster if you don't go for the harder strats, in my opinion. You definitely don't want to have any expectations going in. I've heard of a lot of people starting to get frustrated in practice. If you're getting frustrated in practice, then there's something going on there that needs to be addressed, because practice should be one of the most chill parts of the game, like the most fun. It's when you're learning. It's when you have an opportunity to improve, and if you're getting frustrated and mad and upset, that's going to cloud your vision and you won't really be able to learn as fast as you could. So basically, never assume anything is easy. Give it an honest effort and just try to learn. Just try to observe what's going on. Don't get too attached or too invested personally. A lot of strats are really hard and you might struggle a lot. There's no need to worry about, am I good at the game? Am I learning fast enough? Is this good? Am I bad? Like, these are just unnecessary, unuseful thoughts. So I would recommend, if you're getting those kind of thoughts, to just stray away and continue just focusing on the game. Once you've actually got the game and you're diving in, when you're starting speedrunning, don't reset. It's very easy to be tempted to reset when you lose like a lot of time in the beginning, but something that happens a lot, and it even happened to me with all signs, which is a new category I just started running, is when you get a PB, you kind of distort your perspective on how good it is, and things kind of get blurry and you don't really remember how many mistakes you actually made. And you'll be surprised if you reset less, how many more PBs you'll probably get and how faster you will improve, because you'll realize that you can actually make a lot of mistakes. And even in the 120 star world record, there are plenty of mistakes. Even at the top level, it's good to finish runs occasionally, even if they aren't a PB, because it's good to keep yourself in check. Keep your perspective in a realistic place of how good your run actually is, so you can know better whether or not it is worth resetting. And last thing I want to cover is motivation and dealing with burnout. So motivation and the idea of burnout is something that I still don't fully understand. I believe, though, with certainty that certain ways of playing the game will burn you out quicker than others. If you're constantly getting frustrated and putting yourself down while you're playing because you aren't playing like up to standard, the game will get very old fast and you'll get tired of it quick because you're just draining yourself. It's very counterproductive because not only does it make you feel more drained, but you can't focus on the game if you're constantly just like, oh, here we go again, oh, I'm messing up. And it's hard to avoid that, but it can be done. You can just focus on the game. I personally find that the less I think, the more I tune into the game and just give my honest effort, the better I feel and the better endurance I have for runs. Because whenever you start a run, you're signing up to the idea that this run could die at any moment, right? So if it dies, there's no reason to just be like, oh my God, I can't believe it died. Oh my God, that never happened. It's a learning opportunity. It can be hard, and I've obviously struggled with rage a lot, but I've been consciously trying to improve on it, and I feel like I've gotten a lot better at it. And as a result, my speedruns have gotten a lot better and a lot more consistent because I've been able to focus better and easier. At the end of the day, it's about having fun and seeing how far you can push yourself. So if you're not having fun, then it's obviously not going to end well. And you also want to ask yourself if you're really motivated to play the game, or it's for your stream or your desire to be a streamer. If the motivation or your joy doesn't come from speedrunning the game, you'll get burnt out so quickly that it won't even matter. You won't get good at the game if you're not enjoying it. It's absolutely crucial that you enjoy the game that you're playing. I didn't start speedrunning Mario because I wanted to be a streamer. I just did it because I thought it was a cool looking speedrun. And I'm honestly still kind of shocked that I'm still playing the game, but it was never like the goal to become a streamer, but it just kind of happened. So take that as you will. If you ever feel like you're at a moment where you're plateauing, or you just like are not getting better or not improving, then it might be a moment where you need to practice more. It can be easy to kind of slouch on practice after you've gotten very good at the game, and I've definitely slipped into that mode as well. Sometimes I've had a PB where I'm like, wow, I cannot beat this, and then I just get stuck there. But you can always beat the time, especially if there's a time in front of you. If someone else did it, then you can do it as well, and it's so helpful if you look at other videos. Sometimes you think you know how to do something, but you actually don't, and you just have to be willing to compare your gameplay, look at people's gameplay and look at yours and see, how am I losing time? Where am I losing time here? Mario 64 has an incredible utility that is the ultimate star spreadsheet, which shows basically the best times for every star, so you can know what is a good time for this star. Break it down and rebuild it. Do one thing at a time, improve, optimize, and slowly but surely you will improve your time big time. But if you feel like, you're done, you really don't want to play, you're not having fun, you want to take a break, I have taken probably the most breaks from Mario 64 out of any of the top players. I've taken very long breaks. My most recent break was extremely long, but that was also because of hand problems, which are now resolved, thankfully. It can be a good opportunity to maybe try another game or try something else if you're still trying to do streaming, and you might end up finding something else that you enjoy. You never know. In my life, speedrunning is the best thing that ever happened to me. It gave me a lot of confidence. It showed me that if I really put my mind to something, I can make it happen. And it's been a joy to get to know the community. Some of the best people I've ever met have been people I've met through the speedrunning community. And if you're thinking about trying speedrunning, I would say it's at least worth a try, and you should do it sooner rather than later. Even if you only end up playing like 5 hours and you're like, nah, not really having fun, this isn't interesting, at least you tried. You may find it's not for you, but at least you know, versus just wondering what if. That is all. As always, I gotta, do the plug-in, so I'm gonna just plug it in right now. I am doing 120 star runs every single day, usually starting around 12 o'clock, 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, on the grind for the 120 star world record, or a PB. We're getting close. And memes occasionally, all signs. We might just have to do all trees. And yeah, Twitter. Okay, bye.